President-elect Donald Trump is reacting to the deadly attack in New Orleans, as well as that Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. Let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. He is in West Palm Beach, Florida. Ed, first off, what has been the response from the president-elect?
Well, Michael, good to be with you. He has issued a series of Truth Social posts through the evening into this morning, and essentially making the point, I told you so over the course of my campaign, and the Biden team took their eye off the ball. Overnight, or just this morning, saying with the Biden open borders policy, I said many times during the rallies and elsewhere that radical Islamic terrorism and other forms of violent crime will become so bad in America it'll become hard to even imagine or believe. That time has come, only worse than ever imagined. Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of America, a complete and total disaster. That's a slight modification of what he was saying yesterday. Yesterday, around this time, it was all about how alleged foreigners were coming into the country to commit crimes. Of course, we've learned that the suspect in this case is a U.S. citizen and a military veteran, so he's adding radical Islamic terrorism to his concerns about crime now that we know that the guy may have been inspired by ISIS. Either way, signals that he's upset about this, as everyone is, but also suggesting, as other Republicans had started to yesterday online, that perhaps this is because the Biden administration had not been focused on potential terrorist threats, and some Republicans making the argument, including his former campaign manager, that if the Justice Department hadn't focused so much and spent so much time and money on election interference cases, maybe those resources could have been diverted to avoid situations like this one. Michael.
Now, Ed, I want to ask about that because President-elect Trump is taking shots at President Biden. We're in the middle of America being hit by a terror attack. There's a transition of power between these two administrations. Are they sharing information?
They are, and this is a very important point to call out to viewers, and I'm glad you mentioned it. We got indications during the day yesterday that the Trump team here in Florida and the White House were in touch from very early in the morning about what was going on. And earlier today, Mike Waltz, who is set to be President Trump's national security advisor, said that he'd been in touch with his counterpart, Jake Sullivan, who, of course, is the White House national security advisor currently, about this situation. They continue to get information. What Waltz also said was like, look, we're relying on the White House, but we're also trying to obtain our own information. That's interesting. But either way, both sides are talking. And this is exactly why experts who have worried about the fate of presidential transitions and saw how poorly it went 4 years ago while we were going from Trump to Biden say that you need to have the outgoing and incoming teams talking to each other because these kinds of things happen and the new team needs to be up to speed on them. And so far, at least, indications from both sides are that there has been that sharing of information. We should also point out, while you and Scott were talking there, he's at the White House. The White House said that President Biden will be holding a meeting around 12:15 Eastern with his Homeland Security team to talk through what happened in New Orleans yesterday. So we may get more information at the federal level from the White House, from Homeland Security, after that meeting, which, knowing Biden, can run a while. And we'll also try to get indications then throughout the day whether after that meeting, information is also being shared here with the Trump team in Florida or those that may already be in Washington getting ready. But either way, yes, this has been a good sign, a positive sign for those concerned about transitions to see the two sides talking and sharing information.
Now, Ed, turning to the Las Vegas incident, we can't ignore the fact that this happened outside of a Trump property. Has the president-elect commented on that incident?
Yeah, and again, in a Truth Social post overnight, he suggested that if they hadn't been so focused on election interference and me, as he said in all caps, perhaps they would have caught this thing, saying in part, the DOJ, FBI, and Democrats, state and local prosecutors have not done their job. They are incompetent and corrupt, having spent all of their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me, rather than focusing on protecting Americans from the outside and inside violent scum that has infiltrated all aspects of our government and our nation itself. So again, this was an argument we started to see some of his supporters and prominent surrogates make yesterday online during the day. Now he's making it, and it'll likely continue to be a talking point going forward, even though, as we said, the two sides continue to share information and cooperate as the transition continues.
All right, Ed O'Keefe from West Palm Beach, thank you.